Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for joining this episode of Dr. Linda's show, right? And today we are going to be talking about how to build a purpose driven, product based business from real life lessons. And to discuss this topic, I have with me someone who lives and walk this path, or she has lived and she's walking this path right now. And that's in the person of Christina. Christina, welcome to the show. Kindly introduce yourself.
Thank you for having me. My name is Christina Collura, and I'm the CEO and founder of Creative Beginning, which is home to the only chalkboard-based puzzle brand. The concept started with one child with autism, who happens to be my son, who was diagnosed at the age of 3. And since then, it's been quite the roller coaster journey, that's for sure.
Okay, we're of course throughout this process, we're going to have questions that will, help you take us back to how it all started and where you are right now. But for the sake of those that are watching, we're going to, have this show, and please listen to the end. If you have question, drop it as a comment in any of the platforms you are watching us from right now. We will pick it up and I'll be able to ask her live. This is the benefit of joining the show live. If you're watching us a replay, just enjoy and watch to the end and see the questions people asked and the answers that she gave. So let's start from the beginning. What sparked your journey into education and entrepreneurship?
Mhm. So I've been a teacher for 20 years now, and I've taught anywhere from special education. I spent a lot of time in kindergarten, and there is a big difference when your own child is diagnosed with autism, and that's exactly what happened to me and my family. Luca was diagnosed at the age of 3, but in that moment, I realized like his learning wasn't going to be a barrier, but simply an understanding and a dial into how he was going to be taught and how he was going to learn. So on a whim, I created a name puzzle that you can see behind me here. His name is Luca. And I took paint and I decided to paint chalkboard within the indented spaces. This created a very successful platform for him to print because he wasn't able to go out of the lines. He had really displayed some poor fine motor skills. So this was a perfect opportunity for him to write within the indented spaces. And within 4 weeks, he took a pencil and wrote on paper. He wrote his name on regular paper. So I was a bit shocked and mind blown at that. So I decided to bring the concept into my kindergarten classroom, and I saw the same success. The difference was a lot of other kids wanted to come play with the puzzle, even though they weren't diagnosed. So I realized that I might have just created something that provided a lot of inclusivity. So that's sort of how that really started, and got a manufacturer, got a prototype, was using the prototype in my classroom. And then that's pretty much how it all started. And it's pretty incredible when I talk about it, and I relive it back because it really is just an incredible situation to happen to us. So
Yeah, that's that's great. And I noticed that as well, like from your social media pages, I saw that, a lot of TV and media platforms have asked you to come on. I think it's because of, the idea is very unique. It's very unique. Yeah.
And it really brought together an advocacy piece where you can teach a child with special needs with the same resources as someone who's not on the spectrum. So we don't want to be separating that concept. It can be used together in unison, and that's really important.
Mm, that's great. Okay, so what products does your business name is Creative Beginning?
Mhm.
Yeah, what products do you offer right now?
So all of our products have a chalkboard base to them. Every single puzzle currently has the ability to print within the indented spaces. So everything from numbers, letters, shapes, uppercase, lowercase. We just launched our new combination of our custom name, like Luca's, with a busy board, which allows more fine motor and gross motor development. So anything that you could think of in early developmental skills are included in the chalkboard-based concept. And that's just the beginning, because we've got some in the background that'll be launching soon, hopefully. So
Okay. Yeah.
mhm.
So, do you have an idea of why the method works? Like the chalkboard based and puzzle aspect of this product. Do you have an idea like the advantage it gives to a child, let's say a special need child?
Mhm. So the interesting part was all across Canada and the US, there's this thing called the science of reading, which in the last year, they released a study that stated when you teach identification, so like saying A, B, C, and adding printing to it, you yield far greater results than just teaching them how to say it. So it's ironic that we created this concept so many years ago, and now the science of reading just came out with this study. So I'm like, I just figured this out before they even came out with it. But I think it's because you're saying it and you're writing it, so it adds that extra muscle memory to it, but also that processing as well. But not only that, we created a platform that allows kids to be successful because they can't go out of the line. So it's a combination of so many different things that just all came together at once, and it's just amazing to witness. And I'm just so grateful that I figured it out.
Sure. Yeah. So, how has your personal experience as a mom, to a child with special needs, shaped your brand and mission? How has it shaped?
It really has brought it all to the forefront. I'm extremely exhausted, but it opened my eyes to the inclusive factor in this whole situation. And as a teacher, before Luca was diagnosed, I knew that we wanted to have an inclusive classroom, but I never realized that one product could just build that as well. So seeing the impact that it's had has really shaped my perception and my mission and my brand. And we go back to bridging the gap between special needs and mainstream. That has been the tagline from the beginning. And seeing the impact that it's had to allow that to happen has really just allowed me to continue to push forward and take on any obstacle that comes my way.
Yeah, I see. Yeah. So, what specific gap in the educational system were you determined to bridge through your business? I know you've hinted a little, like you've hinted on it as you are talking, but perhaps giving it a special focus, we understand like it's like okay, this is that thing that made me say okay, I'm gonna bridge this.
I think realizing that when we take children with special needs, autism or any other special need, and mainstream, I think our focus was too much on the separate of them. Like, there's no need to have the separation. We do need support for children with special needs, but the ideas and the environment and the educational aspects don't necessarily have to be separate. What you're teaching a child in the classroom can be taught to another child who might be special needs. It's just the approach. It's figuring out their strengths and what works for those individual childs. It's really important. And I think bridging the gap and understanding that we need to come together and work together to teach them together is extremely important.
That throws more light on it as well because I get what you're saying. More like it's like okay, we have education for people with special needs, but then we sort of keep them in separate places, and even just the fact that they are being kept let's say, in a different classroom is already making that person feel like there is something wrong with me. you know,
Yeah.
especially psychologically feeling that way is not the best, right? Because instead it's just like the way they will say, okay, some people are auditory learners, some people are like there are different kinds of learners, even within what we call mainstream. But
Yes.
we don't feel it because everybody is in the same classroom in a way, right? So it's like, okay, you feel okay to express yourself and everything. So that separation has its own damage to cause, even when you feel you're providing education to that person, right? So, but from especially because you have had experience having a child with special need who possibly had to go through that separation process in school. How like What's the feeling like? What's the feeling for the child like?
So Luca, before being verbal, he would be able to tell me how he felt, but I would probably feel that negativity when he's at home, and it's devastating. You don't want to feel that separation, and I think recognizing that, number one, I want to make it clear that it is okay to teach them separately in some ways, but bringing them back into the same classroom as their other students is very important, and important for their growth and that inclusive factor as well. But the feeling of being separate, even in my classroom now, I have some students that are special needs, and I can't imagine having them separated from their classmates. And especially the children that are understanding and processing more, it's extremely difficult for them to probably understand why are they separate from other students. Even when we look at ESL students, English as a second language, I have students that are removed from the classroom for a certain period of time, but they do come back, and I do work with them individually. So to have them fully separated it just seems like a total segregation, and I can't imagine that feeling. Mm-hmm.
What was your biggest fear? The biggest fear that you had when launching your product-based business, and how did you overcome it?
Being a woman in business and having no idea what to do, plain and simple. I come from education. I come from a non-sales perspective. There's no selling and teaching. And then suddenly it was, okay, I've got this amazing concept. I was patent pending at the time, and I knew that I needed to just push it. So I overcame it by just jumping in. Some people ask me, how did I get here? And I honestly don't have a clear answer, because I just did it. And I connected with a lot of people on LinkedIn, and reached out to them, shared the story, and really connected with people that were in the industry. And it worked. I got myself into a lot of wonderful spaces, met with, some amazing distributors, and just really, just built on those connections, and then one connected to another, and just got the ball rolling that way. But just jumped right in and decided I'm going to do this for my son and for every other child, special need or not, that, needs some encouragement and a product that works. So.
Sure. That's amazing. But starting a business can be scary.
It is very scary. It still is. It's still a challenge, but it's a challenge that, I don't know, I guess I get this from my parents. Just don't be afraid, just do it. So here I am, right?
Good. You mentioned the distributors. Like in what country can people get your products? Do you ship like within Canada? Do you ship outside of Canada?
All of the above. Canada,
Worldwide.
the US, worldwide. Yeah. Canada, the US, and we have Creative Beginning Australia as well. And most recently, we've been talking about branching and launching into the UK. Just really looking at some of the higher autism numbers as well, and figuring out where the product could really be benefited. So, and ultimately, there really is no specific spot that would be ideal. Obviously, Canada is my home. So, but Canada and the US have been very amazing to Creative Beginning, and the sky is the limit. Where to next? I'll let you know in the next year.
Okay. I get you. All right. Okay, let's go more into generally discussing that topic. How to build a purpose-driven, product-based business from real life lessons. What does a purpose-driven business mean to you personally?
So, basically, a purpose is figuring out your niche and really understanding what your why. Like, why do you want to launch this product? Why do you want to build this brand? What kind of impact can you have? And really taking that into account and figuring out which route you want to go based on pretty much the niche and the purpose behind it. We all want to have a purpose, and that purpose will sell your product. And the more connections you can make to that, the better I think you'll do in the business, for sure.
Yeah, and I noticed that, like, when it comes to, when we talk about purpose-driven businesses and all of that, when there is that, there can be there can be purpose to many businesses, but sometimes the entrepreneur may not bring that purpose to the forefront in terms of advocacy and discussing it, right? But
Hmm.
what I noticed is that when an entrepreneur is able to bring that purpose behind their business to the forefront, it creates that advocacy piece, right? And
Yeah.
then makes it easier to have a broader conversation that eventually helps to also bring visibility to the business. So
Mhm.
it's actually like, it's something that is worth doing, but many people are doing it already, but they may not even be putting spotlight on the purpose behind their business, you know.
Mhm. And before investing in any time and resources, you want to make sure that you test your idea in real life settings. Like you don't I can't imagine starting a business without knowing if it's actually going to be something that is worthwhile, for instance.
Mhm.
Um, and for me, launching the prototype with my students was the easiest. Using the idea in real life settings because it was within the context of what I wanted it to be in. So that was it was the best validation I've ever received. That's for sure.
Wow. Yeah, I think I had that. The question I had here for you was, how did you validate your idea before going all in, right? But you just answered that, like testing it with your students.
Yeah. And really, your story is your superpower. That's the best way to describe it.
Mhm.
Um, like letting your values lead your decisions from product design to the customer experience, for instance. Your brand should reflect your why. And if it doesn't, then maybe you should change your idea. That's the best way to describe it. Mhm.
Yeah. Were there moments of doubts
I was
when you?
just really, really nervous at how quickly it expanded. So I never imagined it to be like, oh, this place wants it. This place wants it. Toys, like this retail is interested in it. And that was my, that was my fear. But I just jumped into it. I'm like, what can go wrong? Like there's always a risk. Um, but I knew the small impacts it was having from the very beginning. It, it just wanted to keep going. Like I just knew that the impact I was seeing initially, I just knew that I have to keep it going, just keep investing in it, keep investing my time and my money ultimately into it, and just keep going with it because the reality of it is the feeling I was getting by seeing the impact for kids both on and off the spectrum was more than I could have ever imagined.
Oh, what challenges did you face in aligning product development with educational inclusivity? So, did you face any challenge? It's like, okay, this product, you believe this is how it should be built, right? But then the actual building, were there compromises that needed to be made, or?
Not really a lot of challenges, just more of um, I didn't want to miss how I could make it better. I didn't want to miss an opportunity before, let's say, manufacturing to figure out was there something I should add before I should, you know, get another 10,000 puzzles here, right? So at one point it was, let's add a chalkboard slot to it. So you actually have chalk with it when it's bought. And I didn't have that at the beginning. Another manufacturer or distributor mentioned, hey, you need to add your story to the back of every puzzle because that's really important. I was like, oh man, I just put a production in. Why didn't I think of this sooner? So, I mean, those are really like little things, but that's all part of the growth process. And it's made it a better product because of it. So,
Sure. Wow. Okay. What were the most important early lessons you learned from building a product for diverse learning needs?
the most important was pretty much just really paying attention to what was going on in my classroom. That was one of the most important things I noticed because I was living it every day. So, how else could I have the inclusive factor with the product? That was pretty much the forefront of making sure that I was on the right path. Yeah,
Hmm.
that answers your question.
Okay, let's look at um, were there some unexpected pivots that you had to make from the time you started the product to now? Or it has been like how you started is how it's still going right now?
And again, I wouldn't call it a challenge. It's more of I decided to pivot specifically to specialty stores. So stores that tackle spaces that tackle occupational therapy, speech and language, um, ABA therapy specific to children with autism, because I was seeing the need in that specific area. And most recently, I actually got an email from a nursing home where a dementia patient was using the puzzles in the play space. And I was like, well, this is new. So now it was like a little pivot, and I added that to the specialty space, and figuring out some tiered pricing for those specific areas just to make sure it was really accessible to everybody that needed it, now including elderly. But I always look at, you mentioned about challenges, or to pivot, but more like it's like part of the growth, right? I don't look at them as challenges. I'm like, okay, this is where we're going now. So, but that was pretty much, those are the pivots that have come to the forefront recently, but not in a bad way. We just keep on pushing forward. Yeah.
Yeah. And something you hinted there is that sometimes you design a product for a specific audience and specific use, and you never can imagine how, every other person is going to use that product. You design
Yeah.
for a child, and now, elderly ones are calling you.
Like, what is happening here? And I mean, even, we always think retail is the biggest spot. Retail is probably the hardest area. And I'm in a few retailers, and it's like very cutthroat. So we don't look at, but the little specialty stores probably sell them faster and get to a more direct audience quicker. So it's funny how your mentality changes when something comes to the forefront, and you just have to adapt to it, embrace it, and just go with it. And I've been lucky enough to chat with a few people in the industry, and they're like, no, you're good. Just keep going. Like, so.
Yeah. And okay, so like what you're saying now, I agree. Whenever you're talking about product, is always the focus is always on, getting in with the big retailers. So if somebody is watching this, you remember the topic of the show is more like how to build purpose-driven product-based business. And they're saying to themselves, okay, I should try specialty stores. What advice do you have for that person? Like, where should they? How do you choose the specialty stores to check out?
So for me, I would do a basic search on where for me, it's like alphabet puzzles are sold. And I would Google different spots, and then I would connect those to like different SEO. So on a website, let's say keywords, and then reach out to them directly from that. And that's pretty much where literally my technology background would come in. Just simple Google search, and then share the story. I have a great product for you. It's patented. You won't find this anywhere else. It's inclusive, and just that's where you're selling it. Like, that's literally what I've been doing. I've also been lucky enough for my distributors, Everest Toys. I'll just plug them there. They deal with specialty spots as well, and I've been talking to some other specialty spots. Just like, really, it's all about conversation, and being an introvert does not work if you're in this industry. I'm very much an extrovert, so I don't mind talking to people like I'm talking to you now. So that's pretty much how I did it. And I boggle myself every time I think about how many people I've reached out to at this point. But it's, it is what it is. And if you want to get your word out there, get the product out there, you need to do the work. So she's like, oh boy.
There's no easy way out. You don't
There's
just and the distribution just land.
No, it that came one connection to another. And even with distribution, I'm still doing the work, and sometimes I won't mention his name, but I'll reach out to one of the sales associates and be like, hey, I've been talking to this person at this store. do you distribute to them? So conversation, that's for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Um, what have you learned starting this business, scaling it up to now, especially something you didn't know before you started?
Every financial decision that I make has to be guided by, I always say, clarity, courage, and alignment. It's very easy to want to just jump in and spend money and figure out, okay, this person's offering me this, let's do this. I take a lot of time in figuring out where I want to put capital or funds or money raised, because it's important to make sure that it aligns exactly with what I'm doing. Sometimes investment doesn't always support growth. So you have to really look into what your goals are and financially, and make sure that it aligns with what you're trying to do. Because otherwise, I think people can get caught up in wanting to just spend, thinking that spend is going to equal growth. And that's not always the case. So it's important to make sure that every financial decision you made, it aligns with what you're trying to accomplish.
Alignment of expenses with
Yeah.
return on investment.
Especially entering the space as a sole proprietor. I didn't go corporate until this year. So at the beginning it was, you're spending your own money. Like, you're always spending your own money, but you're really spending your own money at the beginning, especially. So
I get your point. Yeah, when it comes to product and distribution, I hear this thing about what's the word now, or what's the phrase? Something like purchase order, right?
Purchase order.
Yeah, and some people who are starting out with a product-based business, that's usually a hindrance for them, because it's like, oh, you can go out and get this distribution, but then when they ask for 10,000 puzzles, how do you handle that? So what is the strategy that you can give to somebody looking to start a product-based business towards handling purchase order and loopholes to avoid?
My dog just jumped up on my lap. I mean, at the beginning, hopefully you start small. The real big purchase orders happen when you get into the retail spots or the major, larger specialty spots. So for me, it was talking to the bank, to be honest, and figuring out, again, it's going back to sharing the story. And I was literally sharing with a bank advisor, this is where I am, this is what I need, can you help me? And luckily for me, I had a very strong story, as I've shared, and they were interested in building the brand with me. And I was able to fund those purchase orders coming in at the beginning. And then now, as they've gotten bigger, the bank is now, okay, you have to be able to lay out what you're going to do. And it's important to have a business plan and know exactly where you're going and where the funds are going to go. So it does help when you have an actual purchase order in hand to go and share with the bank, to be able to say, this is what, because normally you put the money up front for manufacturing, and then you don't get paid from that retailer for, between 30 and 60 days when they have the product in hand. So it's important to build those connections with the bank as well, or any angel investors that you might be able to get in contact with that might be interested in investing in your brand, and go from there. And that's a risk in itself, right? Because they're trusting that they're going to invest in a product or a company or a brand that's going to grow, and they're going to get a return on investment. So you better be sure.
That I get your point.
Not to scare anybody, but yeah, that's
yeah, and it's also good to say it as it is, right? Because that's important. If somebody is looking to go into it, maybe just listening to what you are saying right now can give the person extra guidance. Like, one thing I heard you say there is that it would be great to go to the bank with an actual purchase order.
Yes.
It's like, Walmart is asking me to deliver this. So, which means the bank is seeing that somebody wants this product. Instead of saying, okay, let me go get the money I will use for purchase order before going to get the purchase order. So, just that sequence can be can make a difference.
Mm-hmm. And actually, when I was going corporate, I was working with an accountant, and right at the same time that we were going corporate, he was talking to banks, and a purchase order came in, and I emailed it to him. I'm like, here, go. It's like leverage, right?
Yes.
I'm not lying. It's right here. They want to buy this many puzzles, so please, like, help me out. And I mean, talking to someone and having a conversation with them and feeling the energy that you have, I think does make a difference. Not to scare anybody, but it does make a huge difference. If you believe in your brand, you can get out there and get what you need, for sure.
Yeah. That's great. What do you think when it comes to retailers, right? What is it that make them want to buy? Why like you talked about at the beginning, lots of retail, like what was discomforting for you was how quickly things grew. So what's that sauce? What is it that you feel is driving that request?
The secret sauce. I honestly believe it's your energy. Like Luca had an amazing story with him, and I tried to get him to come out with me to some of the presentations because he's a funny when it comes to the puzzles now. But I think it's just your energy behind it. I had a captivating story. I had an inclusive product, and right now the big push is for inclusivity. So and one thing I did do, I looked on their website for their missions to make sure that the retailer's mission aligned with what I was doing. So for example, there was one that I was chatting with that I found out actually did a lot of work with Autism Ontario. So I was like, this is perfect. This is a perfect connection. So I think the secret is really making sure that your brand aligns with what they are looking for. Is it a unique product that is different than what is out there? Case in point, we're the only patented chalkboard-based puzzle brand that combines identification and printing. Like there's so many pieces to that component, but making sure you align with their mission for sure makes a huge difference.
And you've mentioned patents in passing. So how many patents do you have now?
I've got the one utility patent for Canada, the US, and United Kingdom. So
wow.
We're the only printable indented spaces chalkboard-based puzzle, period. And it includes a couple other components to it as well, just in case with expansion. But yeah, that was a very important piece to the puzzle, no pun intended, that I really wanted to jump on because it's very close to my heart, and it's what the brand is all about. So
yeah. So when somebody is starting a product based business, which means they're creating a product, what advice maybe do you have for them when it comes to pursuing patents?
Before you even disclose to anybody, it has to be within a certain amount of time that you can even disclose your product. Make sure you find out whether or not you can do a patent search to make sure that there's no other concept like yours. And that's really important. And that also puts your mind at ease that what you're doing is not a waste of time, because you obviously don't want to be building a product that's already been done. And do your research. There's a lot of websites out there. Technology is amazing that you can see whether or not it's something that you can expand. And if it's not, there might be little ways to tweak it to make it a little bit different. So, but then at the same time, I worked with a patent attorney to make sure that I covered all my bases, because I had no idea. Like, I mean, if you ever read a patent, it's very detailed, and honestly, it's in English, but to me, it's in a different language. And my patent attorney laughed because I'm like, it looks great. And just really do your research. That's my greatest advice, and figure out if you really do have a niche. If there's something that's close to it, you can't really file a patent for it. And plus, at the same time, you can file a non-provisional patent, which is good for a year. That'll give you a time. It's it's very cheap to do it. And then just to make sure you give yourself some time to make sure that you want to continue with the patent afterwards, which you can do on your own. You don't need a patent lawyer to do that.
Oh, great. That's an insight right there for somebody who is building a product, right? You say it's provisional patent.
Non-provisional. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. Let me look at the question. Do you have maybe a story of a child or a parent who was deeply impacted by your products that you can share with us today? Maybe the one that comes to mind.
Yeah, it just came up again in the last weekend. I did a major show in Toronto at a baby show, and the product sold out all weekend, which was amazing. But I had her visit me in the fall show in September. I met her. I talked to her. Her son was on the spectrum. I met him, actually. He's just the cutest kid. And she purchased a personalized name puzzle, like the Luca one behind here, and an alphabet. And then she emailed me probably about 6 weeks later and said that same thing happened with Luca. He learned to write his name on paper, and she was completely mind boggled. And of course, every time I get these testimonials, I start getting all weepy eyed and tired and crying. And it's so nice to hear. And then I saw her again this past weekend. She walked right up to me. She's like, I need numbers. I need the shapes. I need this. I'm like, hi, how are you? Good to see you. She was so excited to see me there again. And I'm like, and you get to take advantage of the deal that's here. But it was just, not only did I make a connection with her child, her product, like the product to her child, I made a connection with her, and it was just an overall, like, an incredible experience. And it just validated why I'm doing this and why I'm, launching this brand and keeping this going, because it's reactions like that. Like I've made a lifelong friend now too, but the impact is just, it's so overwhelming at times.
Wow.
Get you emotional? Are you getting emotional? Oh no.
It's a wonderful story, right? And if you have a product that is actually touching people's lives, that's amazing, right? And like, I also love the idea of creating a product that a lot of people, just inclusivity is the word. Creating an inclusive product is really nice, because then people, different colors, different kinds of people can use it, and that's amazing. That's a great way to think of product creation, right? To create for large number of people, to create for people of different,
yeah. And I feel like it's teaching adults too, because the one question I got a lot this past weekend was, well, because I have a board that has my story on it as well, is this for just children on the spectrum? And I'm like, no, like, you can teach any child with this product. So it's like teaching the adults that there's no divide. Let's stop dividing children with special needs with mainstream. It does not have to be separate. You can teach them with the same resources. So it's an all-around teachable product, that's for sure.
Yeah. I know you have mentioned that there's one at your back that we can see. Is this something you can? Oh, okay. Is this something you can show? Yeah. Just so that we have an idea of what it looks like for people watching as well. Okay.
So that's a custom name. And I just removed the U, but and it's fully customizable. I actually have a machine in my basement where I cut the personalized ones. And then a lot of people will do different colors. So for color recognition as well. But they all come with the indented spaces and the chalkboard base.
Oh, I see. And the child learns to write in those spaces.
Yeah. And it basically, we talk about going out of the lines when kids, but even if they have a very loose fine motor challenge, even if they stay within the edge, they're still staying within the spaces. So they still see their name written across, which is pretty neat. So it's like muscle memory.
Go ahead.
Yeah, muscle memory. They're playing with chalk. They're playing while learning. And the chalk mimics a pencil grip too. So there's just so many benefits to it.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, and then the uppercases. It's the same concept. It just has underneath the letters. It's got the indented spaces with the chalk,
Mm.
and it actually has tracers too, so you can actually see dots, so they can trace the dots as well.
See. You talked about tracing the dots. What would be the purpose of that? Okay, good.
Just gives them more of a visual. So
Ah, I see.
yeah,
Wow.
so many pieces to the puzzle.
What comes to my mind is, how did you think of all these?
Don't know. I don't know. I honestly, I think about that all the time. I just remember seeing this name, and I'm thinking, there's got to be more to this, like something. And Luca loved using sidewalk chalk outside, and I remember one day he was outside playing, and I'm like, huh. And then I just literally, I took a paintbrush to this and painted. Thank God his name is only 4 letters, but and painted it within the spaces. And right away I let it dry, and I was like showing him, and he's like, and he actually took the chalk and tried to, he was scribbling in the space, and then I did hand over hand with him, and I put him in the space, and then he sort of looked at me like, I don't know if he thought I was nuts or what, but he he did it, and then he did it himself. And with the L, it was interesting because with the L, he stayed really close to the edge. But because of that shape, he still saw the L within the space, and he knew his letters, numbers, and shapes like very easily. So as soon as he did it, he was like L, and then he did the U. I'm like, keep going. And then we just kept practicing it. And then 4 weeks later, on paper, I might have cried then too, but yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a pretty aha moment, that's for sure. But the automatic thought went classroom. I was like, I can do this for more kids. So I made another name puzzle for another little girl in my classroom, and the same thing. And then I was watching every other kid wanting to come. I want to do it. I'm like, well, I can't make 19 other name puzzles, but sure, go do hers too. Play with hers too. And so that's just, I got it going.
So right now, as a product, you sell the custom made ones, is that? And then you sell the like total alphabets, or how does the product come?
So that's the uppercase that you see behind me. So you've got uppercase letters, you've got lowercase font, you've got numbers 1 to 20 as well. Then I've got a preschool board for the young ones from 1 to 10 with shapes, colors on it as well. So all with the tracing and drawing underneath. And then I actually just launched about a year and a half ago, a word family kit. So you're building words in this full kit with the chalkboard base as well. So just keep going up. So anywhere from preschool all the way up to grades 1 or 2, plus adults apparently with dementia and so, and I mean, that's the thing about special education. There's no age, right? There's no age when they might display fine motor difficulties. There's no age when they need more practice with letter writing. So really, there is no age to the puzzles themselves, which is pretty awesome.
That's amazing. Like amazing product. Amazing product. And I just like what you're saying is more like this is like a challenge that you faced, and then through observation and trying to figure out what works or what worked for you, and also having that mindset of, oh, if this works for me, perhaps it's going to work for other persons, and going from there. Because one thing I would like us to shine light on is that idea of learning from experience, because sometimes things are happening, we are so blown away in terms of the challenges that it's difficult to pick out the life lessons or the lessons that we're supposed to pick from those experiences, right? And so being observant and even looking at like, if a trouble is here, perhaps there's a solution looking around, and if or to even think of when there is a challenge and I overcome it, perhaps other people have that challenge, and I can look for a way maybe to build a product, to build a service, to build a course that can help those other persons as well. And this can also be monetized, because you need the monetization to make it
Right.
scale, right?
Right.
Because if it was a non-profit, maybe it will scale, but maybe not to this extent, because maybe you have to just wait on donations. And
Yeah. And the benefit too is using my platform for the advocacy as well. So doing special events and donating back to Autism Ontario, or I have the ability to use my platform to do those things, which is so amazing. And just going back to what you said about purpose, I mean, Luca's diagnosis was something that I never imagined, and taking it could have gone two ways. And I encourage anyone that's watching to, if you have a child that's diagnosed, it's not the end all, right? It's the beginning of something that is unexpected, but a journey that I am fully engulfed in. And I learn more from him every single day than any education could have ever taught me. So it's important with any obstacle that you face to look at the positive side of it and figure out, well, okay, how are we going to get through this? For me, did I think I was going to create a product that was going to help him? No. Am I super happy that it did? Absolutely. Am I even more absolutely amazed that it's helping so many people? 110%. So, and the other part of it too, now Luca being very verbal, extremely verbal, he says to me, my puzzles are helping kids, Mom. I'm like, yes, buddy, they are. So he's just a sweetheart. And if he's watching right now, he's going to be so mad at me for saying that. But he's such a good little boy.
wow. Okay. We've talked about this before, but okay, how do you manage the emotional and practical demands of being both a mom and a businesswoman?
I've been named the queen of multitasking. I sometimes find it a challenge to come home from my teaching job and do a little bit of the business and then spend the time doing other things, doing other motherly things. But it's just a one day at a time. There's some days where I don't look at a puzzle. I don't touch a puzzle. I don't cut a puzzle. I don't do any of it because you need that downtime. It's important to take that self-care. And but multitasking is my middle name. And I think one of the biggest things I'm really happy about was getting the distribution, because it sort of alleviated a little bit of the sales aspect. But my mind is always going. So anytime I see an email pop up, or I'm like, eh. But just one day at a time. That's the easiest way to do it, and take some time for self-care for sure.
Sure. Okay. You hinted on this as well at the beginning, but we can shine light on it. What strategies helped you to break into a product space traditionally dominated by larger players?
Yeah, I did. I mentioned about LinkedIn for sure. I didn't see it. Someone once told me there's no such thing as competition. And that started very early on when I was making the chalkboard name puzzles. I never if anything, I learned from the bigger players. So I never looked at them as being competition. And the toy industry is really good where, especially again on LinkedIn, making those connections, they actually want to help you. Like, they're not there to be, no, don't break in. Like they want you to do well because it's benefiting a lot of kids. And when you meet me, I'm not one to be, I'm an approachable person. Like, I like to chat with people. So I didn't look at it as a challenge necessarily, but just more of a goal to really reach that level. And I had one of the major players that was, I wouldn't even call him a competitor, but just another major player in the industry who got bought out by one of the biggest toy companies. And I remember messaging my dad going, do you know how much they were just bought out for? I'm like, and they started in the garage. They started their business. So I'm going to get there. I will. I know I will. And I'm not going to use the competition as competition, because I literally am the only chalkboard-based brand. So if you want to work with me, hey, how are you?
Yeah,
Hey,
that's a good approach too, right? To look at it like to focus more on learning and collaboration and making your own lane wider as much as possible. Yeah,
yeah,
because
create your own path.
mm,
Let them do what they want. You do what you have to do, and I'll see you on store shelves. That's what I say.
sure. Children anyway, they like children like more toys. No matter how much toys they have, they want
Yeah.
more. So
Yeah. And I think the greatest compliment was being compared to that major brand. You
mm,
remind me so much of that. I'm like,
mhm.
oh, thank you. Try to like maintain my composure. And they started, like I said, they started in the garage too. And I was just like, I'm mind boggled. So I'm, sky is the limit.
Hmm. That's I think towards the beginning you mentioned educating parents and also maybe having these workshops where parents can come and all of that. So, uh, what does the education aspect of like educating your audience? What does it look like? Is it that you hold workshops or like
Mhm.
how do you go about that?
I jumped into public speaking. So, taking the stance of a mom with a child on the spectrum, coming up with a product like we talked about, but then also how you can use the product to teach your child. So that's sort of the stance that I took. And I've been asked a few times to do some public speaking events, and doing like women in business. What does that look like? And just a wide variety. And then also making sure I do a lot of advocacy, like talking about, um, navigating life with a child on the spectrum, and just taking totally just many different perspectives, but
Mhm.
just providing that education piece based on the product, but also about, autism in general. And actually, I just did I think you probably saw it, breakfast television,
Yeah.
this past week. It's been a busy week, dispelling the myths about autism. So there's all sorts of ways that I try to use my platform to really educate people of, adults and children alike.
That's impressive. What's the difference between, in your opinion, what's the difference between a good product and a marketable product?
The story,
Mm,
hands down. The background story, the brand. You are your brand. Luca is my brand. I try not to use him too much as that, but I'm sharing that story. If you can share your story and connect with your audience, that's half the battle. If you're coming in and there's no real connection to what you're selling,
mm,
um, I just feel like you could still do well, but I feel like you're kind of behind on the game a little bit. So it's important to really figure out your connection to your product and your brand.
the
Absolutely.
story.
Hmm.
Good, good. Okay. So, how can today's entrepreneurs design with inclusivity at the forefront? So, this could be maybe in your own field or generally speaking.
Hmm. I think you have to have the right mindset. You really got to be able to see what's around you. There are so many opportunities for inclusiveness, whether it be someone who can't walk, is in a wheelchair, or, somebody who is special needs. And I'm always looking for ways to make their life better, if that makes sense. So, for me, it's you watching my son play at the park and seeing kids sort of play with him and then not play with him. So for me, it's now going up and having a conversation with the parent about, not about saying, why isn't your kid playing with my kid? But it's more like, hey, oh, that's Luca, he has trouble with blah, 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 blah. And then opening that conversation. So I think just being very aware of what's going on around you. If you want to find a solution to a problem or build an inclusive something, you have to be able to see. You have to have perception, be able to see, put yourself in the shoes of someone that you're watching or someone that you see. And, it's like having empathy, right?
Mm,
you can be empathetic towards someone, but if you want to take it one step further, how can we make things even better for them? I've kind of become really aware of that piece, I think, since launching this business, especially.
Yeah. And one other point I want to bring out there is that when for somebody who may just get a diagnosis or something, even if it's an adult that something happened to any form of disability, because maybe that person have not had that experience before, they may not even know that there are entrepreneurs out there like you, for example, who have created a product that can help them, right?
Mhm.
And it doesn't just like that's an idea that doesn't just come like that, except it's like except somebody say, "Oh, have you tried this or have you tried that?" But if one can even have that mindset that there's probably a product out there, and then start making that research, that can be helpful. Why I'm saying
Mhm.
this is because, as I shared with you, before we started this live session, when I broke my ankle, I had to do surgery. I couldn't really move, right? And then I was talking with someone and he said, "Oh, uh, let's get you equipments that are going to make your life easier, right? Just don't wallow in sorrow right now.
Yeah.
Find to turn this time to the best time of your life." Like after hearing that, I went to Amazon and I started searching for if I have a broken leg, things that could help me. I found a particular product that allows you to, like, it's like a replacement leg. It allows you to walk, provided the injury is below your knee. And mine was,
Oh,
so the product worked for me, right? So with that product, I can walk
oh
even
wow.
though I'm not like without crutches.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, so it was so amazing. I couldn't even believe it. I could climb the stairs. So to put it in perspective, at this point, I couldn't climb stairs. I couldn't really move. If anybody have experienced broken leg before, you throw things, you can't even.
Yeah.
Oh, great!
Yeah.
So when I ordered this product, I I was not expecting anything major. I was like, I don't believe you that I'm going to walk on stairs with this leg that they said shouldn't match on the floor.
Oh
When
my
the person
God.
came, I was surprised. I
See?
tried everything. They had these videos I could watch on YouTube. So I strap it on and I could climb the stairs. My life changed. So the 3 months, I could go to the mall. And when I'm walking at the mall, right? Some people like they're with
Ask.
wheelchair and they're looking like, where did you get that product from? Because they too are looking for how to be able to walk because I
Yeah.
was just like, all the things that showed that my leg was broken, but then I was walking. It was so funny.
And that's
But
all it takes. That's
yeah,
all, like someone figured that out.
mhm.
Like, and people always say, why didn't I think of that? Right? Think like an entrepreneur. I should use my own advice because
Yeah.
I honestly don't know how, but think like, how can you help somebody? That's
Mhm,
amazing. I love
mhm,
that story.
mhm.
Yeah, for me, it's puzzles, and for you, it's extra legs.
Yeah. And if
That's
somebody
amazing.
if somebody is having any challenge, they should look out for innovative products that can help them as well,
Yeah.
because somebody like an entrepreneur may have figured it out already. Just
Yeah.
yeah.
And you might be surprised. Like, if you start thinking on the positive side of things, you might just come up with something.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, if you shift your mindset, don't be a Debbie Downer, as I always say. Like, be a positive petunia and think of, okay, I can fix that. I can do something to help this situation. And you just never know what you might come up with. It might just change your life. I'll tell you that much. That's for sure. So,
Wow.
wow.
Hmm. Okay, so what one we're going towards the end now, and if you're watching us and you have question, please drop the question. I'll see
Ooh,
it. Drop it as a comment. I'll see it and I'll be able to ask her. Right. So,
ask away. I love questions.
what's the one advice you wish someone had given you when you were starting out?
Um, it's not as easy as it looks.
Okay.
um, I think I think somebody actually did give me some really good advice and said, just do it, jump right in. Before I started this, I was dealing with some very interesting health issues besides with my son, and I had put it off for a little bit. I sat on the idea for a little bit, and then I had a friend tell me, just do it. Just jump right in. Like, you've got this idea, let's go. Let's get it out there. And I wish I would have done it sooner. I mean, it wasn't that much of a long time, but maybe that slight moment of doubt, just do it. Like, what do you have to lose, right? I mean, it could flatline and no one wants to buy it, but I mean, just jump in. If you really believe in it, if you have a strong idea, go for it. Definitely.
Okay. Let's see. What's the vision that you have for your business?
That's a good question. So I actually just auditioned for Canadian Shark Tank, so Dragon's Den.
Whoa.
So, and yeah, I got some really good reception from it. I'm still waiting to hear, but I made it through to 2 rounds. But in a perfect world, I would be able to connect with someone who's like really high up in the industry and really get one of those really big influencers to take it on. I've had people from Dancing with the Stars, from The Bachelorette plug it, and it was really successful after that too. So if I could, Dragon's Den, if you're listening, I would love to be on your show and get a nice investment just to allow me to really work one-on-one with one of the big names in the industry and push it even further than I am right now, which is pretty far from what I expected, but that would be a great vision.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Maybe they're
We're
watching.
rooting for you.
They're taping in May, so come
Oh,
on. Molly Middleton, who's the the producer. There's a big plug for you, but you never know. We'll see.
yeah. I hope it come to pass for you.
You'll be the first to know. I'll message you first. Okay.
Okay. All right. What is the one question that you wished that I asked you, but I have not asked you yet?
Oh, that's putting you on the spot. You asked some really great questions. The challenge of women in business is,
Okay.
do you think
Tell me about
so?
it.
Well, entering an industry that is very male driven is is intimidating, but at the same time, I feel like we don't give women enough credit. I know a lot of strong, independent women who are running their own business and just absolutely dominating. One of my best friends is running a successful fitness business, and I watch them every day, and I'm like, yes. Like, there's something empowering about having women in business. And I just encourage any women, nothing against the males, but don't be afraid to just, and just to put this into perspective, I'm barely 5'1". Like, I'm just this, like, my mom's 4'10". Like, we are a tiny family, but you can bring your presence to a brand. You can bring your presence to a meeting. And I don't like to say fake it till you make it, but just don't be afraid to jump in and just be a strong woman that you were meant to be. 100%.
Thank you. That's a good one. More like a powerful message that you have left for women in business and women who are also looking to go into business. That's good.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, thank you very much, Christina.
Great.
We've come to the end of the episode, and thank you for coming in, sharing with us. Your story is very powerful. What you're doing, the way you discovered your product, all the things you've had gone through. Lots of insights that you dropped along the way. That anyone who is looking to build a purpose-driven, product-based business can actually leverage on. So, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. It's nice to
It's,
meet
o-
you.
it's okay. And bye to all the people watching. Bye. Yeah.
Bye bye.